All right, here we go.
All right, welcome to the October 18th, 2018 Helm Developer Call. Just a reminder, this thing is recorded, so do not share your email on screen or discuss anything about your boss. Usual format is we'll go through any announcements that we have. Core team will do stand-ups, and then any discussion topics that come up we can go through. So I'm not aware of any announcements this week. Does anybody else have anything? No? Other than dogs barking? All right, let's jump into stand-ups. Frina, you want to kick us off?
Sure. So let's see, what did you say last week? So we selected using, for dealing with our secrets, we're using Azure Key Vault for the cluster, the charts and everything's using. We're using Azure Key Vault and SOPs from Mozilla to manage that. So anybody who's got our ACLs are through who's got proper access through the Azure account in order to do that. And now we've got a bunch of stuff deployed in there, that charts DCO labeler, what else in there? The Quay logging stuff. So we've got a bunch of images. I think we got 6 images that are in use up in Quay now, and we're archiving the metrics, and we've got something running in that cluster that's just doing jobs to grab it. So I got all that converted over this week. I'm now working on bringing back the PR sizing stuff, so that way we can have sizes on pull requests again to know about how much is in it. That's one of the things we used to use on Helm to know how many people had to approve it before it went in. So I'm actively working on that right at the moment. I should have that launched and working by the end of the week, and it'll be another repo under the Helm org with another image in Quay. And so we'll have carte blanche to own it and control this thing and make changes as we need to. So that's what I've been working on. I'll probably get started back up again on the hub stuff with where Adnan left off by being able to pass in an external database, because we're going to use Cosmos DB. And so that's kind of where I've been at on some of this. Oh, and I identified something with Linkered, which I don't see here, but if we have time, I might want to discuss. And Helm. So, all right, that's me. I'll pass it off to Fish.
The PR sizing thing, is that just based on like lines of code?
Yeah, we used to use Kubernetes, which looked at changes. Additions plus subtractions gives you total number of changes. And then we would take that number, and then labels were assigned based on that number.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So it's the same equation as before. All right, and I'll pass it off to Fish. Mr. Fisher.
Alrighty. It's actually quite light for me this week. Past week, I'm just kind of looking back on what I've been doing. I don't have anything on my bullet journal that has noted anything that I've been working on for Helm. Just issue triaging and PR Martin Hickey, your PR 4524, just testing that out and going through that. I finally found some time at work to go back into the Helm issue queue. So that has all I've got for reporting this week. Taylor.
So my time's been kind of limited on Helm lately, but I am working right now on my talks for KubeCon in Shanghai. So I'll be doing the intro to Helm and the deep dive into Helm at the Shanghai one. For the deep dive, I am planning on talking a little bit about Helm 3 and where it's going and kind of giving people some of that. So provided that nothing changes, I will be talking about that. So if you're interested in some of those details in the community, you can catch that stream, and then that'll be kind of what I'm working on in the next few weeks. Sorry, I haven't been in there on the PRs helping out. Let's see, who hasn't gone?
Taylor, is that talk also happening at KubeCon Shanghai, or is it some other location that you're doing the deep dive?
No, it's also both are Shanghai.
Okay.
So they should both be available on a live stream, as far as I know.
And so is Henry. Is it planned to give that at Seattle as well? The conference?
No, there's not. We didn't, or maybe there is.
Yeah.
Do we end up having that deep dive slot there?
We do
Yeah.
have the intros and deep dives in Seattle. Every KubeCon, or Cloud Native Con, the CNCF projects get an intro and a deep dive slot. So unless we don't do one, we'll always have those slots.
Yeah, I just don't have those ones. I think somebody else does. It might be Butcher.
Yeah, it's me and Butcher.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've got the intro slot for Seattle.
Okay. Anyway, who should I pass it off to next?
I think I'm last for core.
Okay.
So this week started putting together a GitHub project for the Helm 3 work. Thank you very much, Farina, for kicking that off and getting that started. So I'll drop a link in here. This is how I'm planning on communicating the work that's slotted and in progress and completed. So I'm going to backfill this with a lot of the work that has been done, just so people can have an understanding as far as what state the project is in, the Helm 3 work, and know that can understand the cadence behind it, so it doesn't feel like such a mystery to some people. So that can be canonical. I can't talk today. You know what I mean. Place that we can send people to if they just want to get a basic layout as far as where the project is at. We have somewhere to send people, and I'll do my best to keep that updated, as well as add a little bit more information into each of those cards. But I think we have the format. Okay, anybody that's not a core member want to bring anything up or give a stand up?
I just popped a few comments into the chat. It's mostly because I just triaged through, we'd say maybe 2 screens of bugs, and I'm probably wrong. I probably don't know exactly all of them, but there's the ones I said that possibly could be closed out, and also the other ones that just need a response on it. So they might be worth putting in there because we might be able to knock a few off the queue.
Okay. Did you want to post that in the dev channel, maybe, just so we can keep it so when we close this Zoom, it doesn't go away?
Yeah, sure. I just didn't know the best way to do it, so I just threw it in there. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for
Also
going
throw
through those.
them in the notes as well, so there's at least some record after the meeting.
Perfect. Okay, and then we have a couple of discussion topics. They're all a big surprise from Farina. So Farina, you want to go through this?
So one of the things that I didn't say in my stand-up is I met with Butcher and I met with the CNCF folks, and one of the things that they said was there's something called edX that's out there, and they're trying to get courses into it to teach folks how to do things, and the CNCF had some money for people who maybe as a side gig or something who want to put something together to teach there. And so maybe I should have done this in the announcements. Anybody who's interested or might be interested in doing something like this on the side or something like that, reach out to me and I can do the intros and stuff. But the whole idea here is the CNCF wants to get training into edX so that way people can learn more about this stuff. And this is just an avenue that they've got going and that they offered up to us.
Out of
Awesome.
curiosity, oh, go ahead, Adam.
I was just going to say, I probably don't have bandwidth to create content for it, but I have no issues reviewing stuff for it.
Cool.
Out of curiosity, this is like creating a training course on CNCF projects?
On Helm. This would be, they're specifically looking for Helm in this case. And so it'd be like a training. I haven't used edX, so I'm not exactly sure of the format and whatnot, but it's an online training thing.
Is it like a lynda.com thing or?
Sort of. It's put on by, oh, who is it? Heard of it and I've looked at it, but I haven't used it. It's Most of the stuff's from universities, MIT, Harvard, Berkeley, things like that. It's universities putting material online. So, and they've got a bunch of engineering and computer science stuff. So this is one of the things that could end up in a category. They probably already have some Kubernetes things, stuff like that. But it's an opportunity for us to get some stuff in if anybody has time and bandwidth or that kind of thing. That was it. I guess I can go on to the next one. So Josh couldn't make it today, so I'm bringing this here for him. He's working on the Helm push stuff. In fact, he's done a whole lot of stuff around how OAuth will work for logging into repositories and all that stuff. And one of the things, it's all based around OAuth and tokens and all of that stuff right now. So you can work with lots of systems this way. But he asked the question of, should we support basic auth in addition to OAuth? And I don't know the answer to it, but he asked the question. And I know I asked Butcher, and his response was sure. And I read that sure as long as I don't have to write it. But I still don't know the answer to it, so I wanted to ask the question.
Another thing we do with this is the plugin kind of system for dealing with different transports and security layers. Mm-hmm. I haven't written anything for that. So I'm not sure how much of a pain it is to develop those sorts of things. That could be another option where we could provide a way of, like if you have some custom transport or auth requirement, that you would be able to add that in.
That's a good idea. So we should probably just support OAuth out of the box and then let it become a transport type mechanism, or the way we do GET and that kind of thing. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Because I know there's quirks around if you want to use specific like storage layers, like authentication specific for them.
Like S3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. I'll take that back to him.
Hey, by the way, Farina, sorry,
Yeah.
I wanted to wait for a stopping point. So that edX thing, I was dealing with a puppy. The edX thing I'd be interested in, but not like in the next 2 months. I don't know when they want it, because like conference season is upon us, or at least me. And so I don't have time to do it right now, but I would be interested in doing it. So I'm not sure what the time frame is on that, but we can talk offline if you want to.
Let's connect offline. As far as time frame, until last Friday, I didn't even know that this was a thing. Nobody's putting any pressure on us. It was just kind of more of an offer. And so let's talk. Let's figure something out. And maybe after conference, you might even have a lot of material after conference season.
I know, that might be a good idea. And then we might be closer to Helm 3, so we can show some of that too.
Yeah, maybe we will be.
Yeah, plus we have lots of content. Like, we have lots of presentations in the backlog. If anybody just wants to convert some of that into like a different format, like we have plenty of content that falls along the same lines as those.
All right,
one more for Farina.
The next thing that I had was there's been long requests to have a Helm image that's got a container image it's just got Helm on it that you can go use, right? There's long been an ask for that. And so since we can do that with Circle now, we've discovered that even though we go over our limit, Circle doesn't cut us off, and the timeout issues in an individual run have not turned into, are no longer a problem. I think most of that's been corrected. We should be able to create just a Helm image, maybe stick it up on Quay and let people know about it. And so I was going to start poking at that here in the near future. And I wanted to ask, what base image should we use? Scratch, Alpine?
So actually, the one thing I will add in here quickly is that the Tiller image now has Helm available inside of it. So there is at least one image that it has. The problem with it is that there's an entry point in the Docker file that basically hard codes it to /tiller. So the run command is a little awkward, where you have to do like a Docker run -- entry point to /helm in order to properly use it. But that is available. So as far as base image, if we want to release another image that is separate from the tiller image, and it's just like a tiller image or a Helm image, then perhaps we should mimic what is being used for the tiller image.
What's that?
We're using Alpine for that.
Yeah.
Is there any reason why you're bringing this up? We've kind of always used Alpine. It's just the go-to. Is there a reason why you're reviewing this?
The reason I'm poking at it is because there's known issues with Alpine around DNS resolvers, and I didn't know how many people that was biting. But no, this is fine. I just wanted to ask. I didn't even realize that Helm was in here now.
Yeah, I think a lot of the DNS issues got resolved a couple releases ago.
With Alpine?
Yeah, I was seeing it quite a bit, and I haven't seen it come up for a little while now.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah, and there was also some issue around certificates, but I think they also got that resolved as well.
Okay.
And I think those were the two main pain points with using Alpine with Go.
Okay, that works. Yeah, and one of the problems, of course, with Tiller is that it's served out of GCR, which is not available in some countries like China. So all of our Chinese folks would like us to get Tiller into a location that's not GCR. Which is something else
we can definitely push it multiple places. Because it's just a matter of tagging it and then pushing it and adding the creds to Circle.
Yeah, I might go poke at that too. Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Right, and the tail end of that discussion, I think, wasn't it? We were waiting for basically to switch over from the Kubernetes governance over to the CNCF governance before we started releasing tiller images in both like Quay or Docker Hub or somewhere else, as well as GCS or GCR. I believe that was the tail end of the discussion when we had that. I think that was about a month and a half ago or so.
So what should we do with that now? Should we make the switch to Quay? Should we tentatively make it? Should we can layer it in. We can push to both locations, but then there's the default pull point. What should we do?
I think at this point, if we're doing the CNCF testing and others, and we're already pushing images that like the charts testing repository and stuff, I think that's an acceptable organization to start pushing tiller images to as well. At least if we've kind of got the acceptance of.
Yeah, and we had this discussion before, and there were some political reasons why we didn't. So we may want to go back and what that was.
I'd love to know what that is, especially since some of this has changed because Quay is now Red Hat.
Yeah, and but this is before we were CNCF as well.
Yeah,
that we were looking at it last. So we might not be as restricted now with moving.
That's true. Yeah, and lots of CNCF projects are using Quay. There's no issue with it. The nice thing, I mean, the reason we started using, for anybody who doesn't know, like things like the charts testing to it was because with Docker Hub, you basically get, here's the total count of people who've ever installed it. And quite honestly, it's in a number like 1 million, 2 million, 500,000 plus, things like that. It doesn't give you much detail over time. Quay will give you detail over time, but they only do that over the last month. But they provide an API where you can go pull the stuff. And so now we've started to pull aggregate data. We don't have a way to visualize it, but we started to just pull not the details, because for those who have admin access to a Quay repo, can actually get the full details of every request. Like, here is the username of the person who pulled it. Here's the IP they pulled it from. I mean, we're talking lots of detail is all there in the API for the last month. And we're only going to pull aggregate information. just so we don't have to deal with PII storage and that kind of thing. And so we'll pull aggregate information and slowly over time work to make that public. But it gives us some nice indicators that I'm sure product managers and folks like that would like to see. But that's why we ultimately went up over here for this stuff. So we can probably start by pushing Tiller here as well. In fact, I think Tiller may be pushed here without tags already. There's a Tiller repo, and I see pushes. Let me see. There's a. It's
Yeah,
just Canary up here.
I might have been doing some testing with it at one point.
Okay, the latest, yeah, it seems to be outdated because the latest tag is from 4 months ago. So we can probably get this fixed up and start pushing here.
Probably when I was going through it last time.
Yeah, we can probably start pushing stuff here. And then once that's going well, talk about switching polling here and then document for people like in China and stuff, you can pull from here too and how to do it. Okay, I can do some of that. All right.
Yeah, because I would like to, another reason why I'd like to figure that out is like a lot of the Google accounts were controlled by people who aren't maintainers anymore. So it'd be nice to get that in a new account that we have shared access to and full control over.
And still are controlled by folks like that as owners. Still are.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I can do that. The other thing that I didn't have on here, but I'll take a minute on, is there's linker.
Hey, it's not on the list. Okay.
That's all right. That's all right. I'm just taking over. There's the linkered 2 issue. So linkered 2 recently came out and has a kind of different way to tie things with sidecars to something. And I don't see an easy way to support this in Helm. In this link that I just dropped into chat here, you can see an example of how they just say to generally do it. You get something, then you run it through linkerd inject, which alters what you pulled using kube control, and then you reapply it with the changes, right? That's how they inject the sidecar. Now, how would I do this with Helm today? I don't have an answer unless I threw a wrapper in. I actually don't even have a good answer. If I were to grab something from the stable repo, I'd have to fork it and change it.
Yeah, I don't think there is a clean way to do it because the only way to do it would be to go from Helm template, pipe it to linkerd, and then just use like kube control apply, just like the example does, and not use any sort of lifecycle management with Helm. Because there's no point that you can edit stuff after it's already gone through all the processing, then essentially stream edit it before it goes to Kubernetes. Like that, it's a completely different model than what we're built for.
We probably should come up with an easy way. I mean, I was looking at the event-based stuff that we're talking about for Helm 3, and I was like wondering, is there a way we could have an event that was not a in-chart event, but was an event that went to a plugin on the system, and then that plugin could allow something else to be in there too. And so you could say, oh, run it through linkerd as an event, and it would be a plugin where Helm's at, not in the chart. And I didn't know whether that's something we could retrofit.
And that's kind of the way we have it spec'd out, where during each event, you can modify the values, but you can also modify the array of objects that were from the previous step, like if they're coming in. So like a post-render step, really the object that you have to work with in a post-render is a list of objects that theoretically you would be able to do something like this with.
Yeah.
And I think that might be the only way to do it, is to, I'm not sure like what that's going to look like yet, if it's going to allow for to drop to system level for anything where you could pipe it through an external tool like that, or what that would look like. But that would definitely be the place for it, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't think there is going to be any way to do it in Helm and still use the lifecycle management, because upgrades are just going to be hosed then, because you're going to try to diff against something that's not in cluster. Tiller's going to assume something's in there which isn't truth. So when it calculates the diffs, it's just going to get weird.
Unless it pipes it through this to calculate diffs too. Which is why I was wondering, yeah. I don't know. Maybe this is worth us sitting down with the Linkerd folks to talk about, to see if we can come up with some kind of idea or solution for this. Because
no matter what, there would have to be a new feature added to Helm 2 for it, though.
yes, it would be a new feature in Helm 2 of kind of like, you'd have to say, okay, when you do an install, use this plugin, and that plugin would have like an event base. Yeah, it'd be some kind of event system we'd have to add to Helm 2 somehow. And you wouldn't even be doing it in Helm. You'd actually have to have this stuff sitting over on Tiller. And so you'd have to have a special Tiller, which kind of gets into, what's the thing?
Rudder.
Rudder. This is where rudder would come in. You'd actually have to have a rudder that could do Linkerd. That's probably the way you'd have to do it, is a Linkerd rudder. Okay.
All right, anyways, we got a minute left and we still have to do assignments and people are dropping. So let's suck people in before they can get away. Who wants to be moderator next week?
I think I can be moderator. Let me check my schedule real quick.
Nope, it's already down.
No, that's also how things work here. So, yeah, that should work for me.
All right, and then notes.
I'll do it.
And then issue.
I can do that this week.
Okay. Remember, Fisher, that we're all going to be at an offsite next week, which I should mention that Microsofties are going to be gone next week.
But doesn't that mean you're all in a room together so you could schedule time to be here all from one conference room?
Yeah, we might be. I just don't want to overpromise and get your hopes up. You know, I don't want you to be disappointed if we can't make it.
I'll see if I can get an extra thing put on your boss's schedule to make sure that this is okay.
Okay. Usually Thursdays are the last day of our offsites, so we do the pancake breakfast before people start flying home, and that can conflict, so that's the only thing I'm concerned about.
Pancakes always come first.
I see your priorities.
All right, thanks, Fisher. So we're out of time. Any burning desires before we kill this thing? All right, thanks, everybody.